Should you become a security and fire alarm installer in 2022? The purpose of this video is to help you figure that out. We're going to go over compensation, the demand for people in this occupation, educational requirements, and more. Security and fire alarm installers install, program, maintain, and repair security and fire alarms. A lot of their job is actually ensuring that these systems are in accordance with local codes. The job typically requires them to mount and fasten different control panels, set up sensors and video cameras, and attach and connect electrical and telephone wiring. This is a customer-facing role where you have to demonstrate systems for customers and explain details. After setting up these systems, often they have to be tested and maintained. Often kind of like electricians, people in this occupation have to feed cables through access holes and fit them in between roof spaces. There could be some drilling involved. You would think there'd be a lot of injuries and illnesses in this occupation, but it's actually half the national average. There's about 60 injuries and illnesses per 10,000 fire and security alarm installers. And in 2020, there was actually 7 fatalities. These are mostly due to slips and actually falls. Throughout most of this video, we're actually going to talk about employed fire and security alarm installers, but there's actually another route, and that is becoming a contractor. But in order to do this, you actually have to pass codes depending on which state you live in. This is where companies such as Upstrive can come in and help you pass certain contractor exams and figure out certain building codes in order to become a fire and security alarm contractor. Upstrive's mission is to help you prepare, pass, and earn. They can either hook you up with a tutor that has like decades worth of experience in the field, but they also have a lot of resources on trying to enter different trades. So we're going to do fire alarm, and you see a lot of courses related to possibly becoming a fire alarm or security alarm contractor and passing certain exams. So down here, they have one for South Carolina, they have one for Montana, and a lot of this really depends on which state you live in. But as you can see, they have a lot of different states: Texas, Tennessee, Utah, and more. For more information on Upstrive, check out the links below for their webinar and/or email list. Next up, we're going to talk about the educational requirements for people trying to get into this occupation. What kind of education do you need to become a fire and security alarm installer? According to the Occupational Information Network, about 45% of employed fire and security alarm installers have a high school diploma and/or GED, 49% have a high school diploma plus some kind of certificate, and 10% have some kind of college education. So like many of the trades, you don't need a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree to enter this particular occupation. So if you went into this particular occupation, you wouldn't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on higher education. And security and fire alarm installers actually make pretty good money, given that it doesn't require a college education. In 2016, the average base salary was $45,660. This rose to $52,150 in 2020. When we compare this to other occupations where you're kind of working with your hands, this actually looks pretty good. Fire and security alarm installers tend to make more than auto body mechanics, auto service mechanics, diesel mechanics, glaziers, and small engine mechanics, although they tend to make less than heavy vehicle mechanics and aircraft mechanics. Of course, we're talking about the average national base salary. This doesn't include overtime, and there's actually certain metro areas in the United States that tend to pay a lot more than this. For example, in Boston, Massachusetts, the average base salary is $71,820. When you factor in benefits, this brings total compensation almost up to $100,000. And this is before any overtime. Meanwhile, in San Jose, California, the average base salary is $64,540, and total compensation would be around $84,000 before any overtime. So definitely not a bad wage for an occupation that doesn't require a college degree. Next up, we're going to talk about demand. How much demand is there for fire and security alarm installers? For this, we're going to look at BLS data, and we're also going to look at job posting data. In 2016, the government recorded 67,700 employed fire and security alarm installers. This rose to 71,600 in 2019, but dipped in 2020 to 68,920 employed. It seems like possibly the pandemic affected this occupation. Maybe people didn't want fire and security alarm installers in their homes doing routine maintenance. Not entirely sure. Maybe it was the slowdown in the construction industry in 2020, but fire and security alarm installers saw a little bit of a dip in their numbers. Also keep in mind, this is kind of a tiny, small niche occupation. In 2020, like I said, there was around 68,000 employed. The aircraft mechanic, auto body mechanic, auto service mechanic workforces are much bigger than this, as well as diesel mechanics and heavy vehicle mechanics. So this is actually kind of a smaller niche occupation. Next, I looked at job postings on different job boards, and this is what I found regarding the demand for fire and security alarm installers. When I searched for fire security alarm in the United States on Glassdoor, it gave me around 8,000 job postings. On Indeed, 19,318. And on LinkedIn, 1,247 job postings. So when we compare the number of job postings against the number of employed, really doesn't look that bad. There's plenty of job postings for fire and security alarm installers across the country. Maybe avoid LinkedIn. There really wasn't that many job postings on LinkedIn, which is usually surprising. Usually LinkedIn, for many different occupations, has the greatest number of job postings. For some reason, Indeed might be the best platform to look for job postings for fire and security alarm installers. So as you can see, there are pros and cons to choosing this occupation. The barrier to entry isn't too high. You don't have to go get an associate's or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. You can pretty much enter this occupation after high school, maybe with some training. There's also the possibility of becoming a contractor, owning your own business, kind of like becoming a plumber or an electrician. So there are possibilities with this particular occupation beyond just being an employee. Are you a fire and security alarm installer? Let us know down in the comments below. What do you like and what do you dislike about this particular occupation? If you enjoyed this content, there's plenty of other videos on the trades. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.